Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. We love to buy in bulk and stockpile. We need to for the future. But there are certain foods that you cannot stockpile in their original containers. You have to put them in like Mylar bags, sometimes with oxygen absorbers. And I will talk about oxygen absorbers and Mylar bags at the end too, as far as what the amounts to put in. But there are certain foods we have to be able to transfer over and they will not store long-term in their own containers. Let's go through that list. Number one, instant potatoes. Although they're not in keto, I love instant potatoes. I love all potatoes. And they actually store very well in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. But make sure you don't buy the butter kind because the butter part may actually make it rancid. I'll talk more about rancid in a little bit. Number two, oats. And I like oats too. Personally, I like the steel cut rolled oats, but you can actually store quick oats if you want to in a Mylar bag. Just throw in an oxygen absorber and it'll be good to go for decades. Number three, sugar. And a lot of people love sugar, obviously. Well, some people like it a little bit too much, but it's easy to store. You don't need an oxygen absorber. In fact, it's recommended you don't have one. Just make sure the container you have is going to be airtight and completely dry before you put the sugar in there. Number four, baking soda and baking powder. All kinds of uses, by the way, besides cooking, cleaning, medicinal. Same thing. Do not use an oxygen absorber. Don't put them together, obviously, but put them in the Mylar bag and seal it up and it'll be good to go. Number five, pasta. And it stores great too. Now you do have to add an oxygen absorber to this, and there's actually a special circumstance when it comes to pasta, by the way. I'll describe it at the very end. But anyways, put it in the Mylar bag, oxygen absorber, and you're good to go. Number six, coffee. Unfortunately, regular coffee beans, the whole beans you put in a bag, we're only looking at maybe a couple years at the most. Grounded up is even worse, 5 months possibly, but instant coffee with an oxygen absorber in a Mylar bag will store for decades. That's good stuff. Number seven, dried beans. And it's simple enough, an oxygen absorber in a Mylar bag. Now, if the beans go bad, they go rancid. And that's one of the things we have to look for. And if it ever does go rancid, by the way, it's going to have like a smell of like Play-Doh or maybe oil paints. But here's a really fun fact for you, by the way, that if something's rancid, it's actually not really bad for you. It's not toxic. How about that? It may lose some of its nutritional value, may taste awful, maybe give you some digestive issues, but you can still eat it and you'll survive just fine. Number eight, wheat berries. First, put them in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber and then grind them up later. Personally, in our family, we have a WonderMill and a WonderMill Jr, which is the hand crank one, and we can make our own flour and our own bread this way. But the wheat berries can last indefinitely as long as you have the oxygen absorber in there. For the WonderMills and stuff, I would put a link below if you want to pick one up. Number nine, rice. White rice, basmati, jasmine, etc. will work great for this method I'm about to show you, but not brown rice. Brown rice will have fats on it and it will make it go rancid. Maybe about a 5-year shelf life is what you're looking at before it starts tasting nasty. Now, rice is interesting. If you want to store it, you don't need an oxygen absorber at all. If you can take the bags of rice and freeze them for 24 hours ahead of time, that's great. It'll actually kill the rice weevils in there. But you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. You can take the rice, put it into we like to use a 2-liter bottle. Really make sure you shake it and pack it really, really tight and then seal it and store it away. Nice, dark, dry location. It'll store like that indefinitely. Now, rice itself is an oxygen absorber. And if you put it in a 2-liter bottle, it will absorb the oxygen and the bottle will shrink down. Understand that you'll need this much oxygen to make it go bad, but it only absorbs this much before it seals the container. So it works amazingly well. And you don't have to do anything extra except for possibly freezing it if you don't want to have the weevils. But the the rice weevils in there will simply just give it extra flavor. Now, they actually add protein to it if you want to eat those little critters. But if you don't want to, I completely get that. But rice is a great thing to store. And again, no oxygen absorber needed. Number 10, hard candy. Now, hard candy is interesting. It will break down and start kind of like falling apart. So the trick to storing hard candy, which, will give you a nice big energy boost if you need it during the apocalypse, is guess what? Take that sugary candy and pour sugar on it. If you sprinkle it with sugar, it'll actually make it store longer. So in other words, make your sugar coated with extra sugar.
That's too much sugar.
Number 11, salt. Also super easy. No oxygen absorber needed. Simply put it in the Mylar bag and seal it. Now, all of this will protect your food from the oxidizing it, etc. But it's not going to protect it from pests, obviously. A pest like a rat or a mouse will go right through that Mylar bag and nothing flat. So you may need to actually have additional protection in your home from that. A lot of people will take all their Mylar bags and put them in food grade buckets afterwards just for extra protection. Now, a lot of these foods required oxygen absorbers, not all of them, and having the right size oxygen absorber is essential. So let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. If you're looking at a pint size, 50 cc's, A quart, 100 cc's, quarter gallon bag, 100, half gallon bag, 200, a gallon bag, 500, or if you put the food right inside a 5-gallon bucket, a 2000 cc oxygen absorber will work well. But understand, that's talking about like dense food. I talked about like pasta. That's not dense at all. It actually has a lot of room. Whenever you put something like pasta or something that takes up not as much space inside that bucket or bag, double the oxygen absorber to be on the safe side. And you can double it all that you want to anyway. It's not going to hurt the food. It's just obviously cost money more for the oxygen absorbers. I'm going to put a link below for where we get some of our oxygen absorbers from and our Mylar bags from on Amazon, for example. But our main source for us is going to be Azure Standard. We get ours from there, and they're amazing. I'll put a link below for that as well. And you're always welcome to check it out and look at it and see where drop sites are you, and you can sign up for it before you even pay a penny. It doesn't cost anything to become a member of Azure Standard, and you can actually get a lot of stuff drop shipped to you, well, to a location near you anyway, for shipping at a fraction of the cost. We love Azure. But don't have Azure or can't get it near your place, you can see on Amazon where we get some of our Mylar bags and oxygen absorber as well. Put in the description below. What are some other things too, by the way, that you like to store in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and make them store practically indefinitely? But again, there are some things that you can't store in the original container, and to put those below too. We want to help each other out. Thanks for watching.